I made the difficult decision to cancel my wedding. I always thought I had it all figured out. I'd envisioned the perfect wedding day since I was a little girl, an elegant ceremony in a beautiful garden, surrounded by friends and family, with the love of my life standing beside me. And when David proposed, I thought everything was falling into place just as I had always dreamed. We'd been together for 4 years, and we were both so excited about our future. We spent months planning every detail: the venue, the dress, the guest list. It was a whirlwind of tastings, fittings, and excitement. But as the big day approached, something started to feel off. It began subtly. I noticed I was feeling anxious more often, and not just the typical pre-wedding jitters. There was a growing sense of unease I couldn't shake. I kept brushing it off, telling myself it was just the stress of planning. David was supportive, constantly reassuring me that everything would be perfect, but the doubts persisted, growing louder. A week before the wedding, everything came to a head. I was at a final dress fitting, and as I stood there looking at myself in the mirror, I felt a wave of panic wash over me. I tried to brush it off, but the feeling was overwhelming. That evening, I broke down and told David I needed to talk. I could see the worry in his eyes, but I knew I couldn't ignore my feelings any longer. We sat down together, and I told him that I wasn't sure I could go through with the wedding. I tried to explain that it wasn't about him or our relationship. It was about me. I didn't feel ready, and the thought of walking down the aisle felt suffocating. I was terrified of making a mistake, of committing to something that didn't feel right. David listened, his face a mix of confusion and heartache. He tried to understand, but it was clear how deeply this affected him. We both cried, grappling with the pain of the situation. I knew I was hurting him, and the guilt was unbearable. But deep down, I knew I had to be honest with both of us. The next few days were a blur of difficult conversations, family disappointment, and emotional turmoil. I had to tell our families and friends, each time facing their surprise and sadness. It felt like I was unraveling everything we had built together, and the weight of it all was crushing. David and I decided to take some time apart. We needed space to understand ourselves and what we truly wanted. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, and the aftermath was filled with uncertainty and regret. I felt like I had let everyone down, including myself. Months later, I look back and understand that canceling the wedding was one of the hardest and bravest things I've ever done. It was a decision made out of love for David, for myself, and for the future we might still share. We eventually found a new path forward, not as a couple bound by a wedding, but as two individuals who needed to grow and learn. In the end, it was a painful but necessary step in our journey. It taught me that it's okay to question what you thought you wanted, to listen to your heart even when it's difficult. Life doesn't always follow the script we write, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to be honest with yourself and others. David and I remain close, and our story isn't over. We've both grown in ways we couldn't have anticipated. It's not the fairy tale ending I imagined, but it's our reality, and it's okay. Sometimes the most difficult decisions are the ones that lead us to the truest versions of ourselves.